day and realizing that your entire life is about to change, not because of fate, but because of politics, deception, and a grand illusion. Today we dive into Double Star, the Hugo Award-winning novel by the legendary Robert A. Heinlein. If you love classic sci-fi filled with political intrigue, identity swaps, and thought-provoking themes, this one's for you. Before we dive into the story, let's talk about the man behind it, Robert A. Heinlein. Widely regarded as one of the big three of science fiction, alongside Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke, Heinlein shaped the genre like few others. Born in 1907, he started his career as a naval officer, but health issues forced him to leave the military. He turned to writing and, in the 1940s, began publishing stories that would redefine sci-fi. Heinlein wasn't just about spaceships and aliens. His work tackled themes of individualism, politics, social engineering, and human responsibility. Some of his most famous works include Stranger in a Strange Land, Starship Troopers, and The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Now let's get into Double Star, one of Heinlein's most compelling and underrated novels. Double Star is a classic Heinlein tale of transformation, deception, and political intrigue. The story follows an out-of-work actor named Lorenzo Smythe, or as he prefers to call himself, the Great Lorenzo. He's talented but down on his luck when he gets an offer he can't refuse. A mysterious spaceman named Dak Broadbent hires him for a job that sounds simple at first, but quickly turns into the performance of a lifetime. Here's the catch: Lorenzo has to impersonate one of the most powerful politicians in the solar system, John Joseph Bonforte, the Supreme Minister of the Expansionist Coalition. Bonforte is a key figure in the effort to integrate Martians into human society, but he's been kidnapped. To prevent a political catastrophe, Lorenzo must step in, flawlessly mimicking Bonforte until the real leader is found. At first it's all about acting, but as Lorenzo gets deeper into the role, something unexpected happens. He starts becoming Bonforte. He absorbs the man's ideals, his leadership qualities, and his vision for a united solar system. What begins as a simple impersonation turns into an identity crisis, forcing Lorenzo to question who he really is. What makes Double Star so compelling isn't just the impersonation plot, it's the deeper themes at play. Heinlein explores questions of identity, duty, and leadership. Can someone truly change if they take on another person's role long enough? How much of leadership is real and how much is just good acting? The novel also dives into political themes that remain relevant today: xenophobia, diplomacy, and the challenges of governing a diverse society. The Martians in the book serve as a parallel to real-world discussions about race, integration, and acceptance. Heinlein masterfully uses a science fiction setting to reflect our own world's struggles. Double Star won the Hugo Award for Best Novel in 1956, solidifying Heinlein's reputation as a master of the genre. It might not be as widely discussed as some of his later works, but it remains one of his most sharply written and engaging books. The character of Lorenzo Smythe is unique in Heinlein's library. He starts off as arrogant and selfish, but grows into a true statesman, showing that leadership isn't just about power, but about responsibility. If you love stories like The Man in the Iron Mask, or political thrillers with a sci-fi twist, Double Star is a must-read. So, what do you think? Would you take on a role so convincingly that you might lose yourself in it? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Heinlein's world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. More sci-fi explorations coming your way soon. See you next time. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that your entire life is about to change, not because of fate, but because of politics, deception, and a grand illusion. Today we dive into Double Star, the Hugo Award-winning novel by the legendary Robert A. Heinlein. If you love classic sci-fi filled with political intrigue, identity swaps, and thought-provoking themes, this one's for you. Before we dive into the story, let's talk about the man behind it, Robert A. Heinlein. Widely regarded as one of the big three of science fiction, alongside Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke, Heinlein shaped the genre like few others. Born in 1907, he started his career as a naval officer, but health issues forced him to leave the military. He turned to writing and, in the 1940s, began publishing stories that would redefine sci-fi. Heinlein wasn't just about spaceships and aliens. His work tackled themes of individualism, politics, social engineering, and human responsibility. Some of his most famous works include Stranger in a Strange Land, Starship Troopers, and The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Now let's get into Double Star, one of Heinlein's most compelling and underrated novels. Double Star is a classic Heinlein tale of transformation, deception, and political intrigue. The story follows an out-of-work actor named Lorenzo Smythe, or as he prefers to call himself, the Great Lorenzo. He's talented but down on his luck when he gets an offer he can't refuse. A mysterious spaceman named Dak Broadbent hires him for a job that sounds simple at first, but quickly turns into the performance of a lifetime. Here's the catch. Lorenzo has to impersonate one of the most powerful politicians in the solar system, John Joseph Bonforte, the Supreme Minister of the Expansionist Coalition. Bonforte is a key figure in the effort to integrate Martians into human society, but he's been kidnapped. To prevent a political catastrophe, Lorenzo must step in, flawlessly mimicking Bonforte until the real leader is found. At first it's all about acting, but as Lorenzo gets deeper into the role, something unexpected happens. He starts becoming Bonforte. He absorbs the man's ideals, his leadership qualities, and his vision for a united solar system. What begins as a simple impersonation turns into an identity crisis, forcing Lorenzo to question who he really is. What makes Double Star so compelling isn't just the impersonation plot, it's the deeper themes at play. Heinlein explores questions of identity, duty, and leadership. Can someone truly change if they take on another person's role long enough? How much of leadership is real and how much is just good acting? The novel also dives into political themes that remain relevant today: xenophobia, diplomacy, and the challenges of governing a diverse society. The Martians in the book serve as a parallel to real-world discussions about race, integration, and acceptance. Heinlein masterfully uses a science fiction setting to reflect our own world's struggles. Double Star won the Hugo Award for Best Novel in 1956, solidifying Heinlein's reputation as a master of the genre. It might not be as widely discussed as some of his later works, but it remains one of his most sharply written and engaging books. The character of Lorenzo Smythe is unique in Heinlein's library. He starts off as arrogant and selfish, but grows into a true statesman, showing that leadership isn't just about power, but about responsibility. If you love stories like The Man in the Iron Mask, or political thrillers with a sci-fi twist, Double Star is a must-read. So, what do you think? Would you take on a role so convincingly that you might lose yourself in it? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Heinlein's world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. More sci-fi explorations coming your way soon. See you next time. What if Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan had won World War II? What if America was carved up between these two superpowers, with resistance brewing in the shadows? That's the bone-chilling what if behind The Man in the High Castle, a groundbreaking alternate history tale from Philip K. Dick, one of sci-fi's most rebellious geniuses. First, let's talk about the mad prophet behind the story. Philip K. Dick, born in 1928 and gone way too soon in 1982, was the kind of writer who made reality itself feel like a glitch. Poor most of his life, he's now a legend. Hollywood loves him. Ever seen Blade Runner or Total Recall? Those started as his wild ideas. But The Man in the High Castle, this book slapped the sci-fi world awake when it dropped back in 1962, winning the genre's top prize, the Hugo Award. This wasn't just a Nazis win story. Dick used it to ask dangerous questions. What if everything you know is a lie? Who gets to control the truth? Fast forward to 1962, but not the one we know. Here, the Axis crushed the Allies. America's split three ways. Japan runs the West Coast, Nazis own the East, and the Rockies are a no-man's land. But whispers spread about a banned book, The Grasshopper Lies Heavy, that claims the Allies actually won. Yeah, mind-blowing, right? We follow 4 characters trapped in this nightmare: Juliana, a jaded judo teacher who joins the underground resistance; Frank, her ex, hiding his Jewish roots while making fake antiques; Tagomi, a conflicted Japanese official who starts doubting the regime; and the shadowy man in the high castle, the author who might know how this all really went down. As they chase the truth, the line between fact and fiction melts. Is that book just a story, or a leak from another universe? And when the secret police close in, survival means choosing: comply, rebel, or lose your mind. Dick wasn't just writing about the past, he held up a cracked mirror to our world. Think about everyday fascism, people shrugging at cruelty to stay alive, stolen history, museums full of looted art, textbooks rewritten. Reality itself, is there even one true version of events, or just layers of lies? The 2015 TV series cranked the weirdness to 11, adding sci-fi portals and double agents, but kept Dick's core nightmare. What if the bad guys won and everyone just got used to it? Dick died in the early 80s, but his work's screaming at us today. He basically predicted deepfakes, tech addiction, and that sinking feeling that nothing's real anymore. His stories all ask, when the system's built on lies, how do you stay human? The Man in the High Castle isn't just a twisted history lesson, it's a flare gun shot into our complacency, because the scariest dystopia isn't the one with the jackboats, it's the one we stop fighting. Want more mind-bending sci-fi deep dives? Smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. And hit the comments. What's the wildest what-if history you'd want to see? Later, reality rebels, keep questioning everything. Mars. The Red Planet. A place of mystery, dreams, and the ultimate challenge for humanity. But what if we could turn it into a home? What if we could transform its barren landscapes into oceans, forests, and cities? Kim Stanley Robinson's Red Mars isn't just a sci-fi novel, it's an epic vision of humanity's greatest adventure. Today we're diving deep into this monumental work, exploring its story, themes, and the man behind it. Buckle up, because this is one interplanetary journey you won't want to miss. Before we explore Red Mars, let's talk about its creator. Kim Stanley Robinson is one of the most influential sci-fi authors of our time. Born in 1952 in Illinois, he grew up with a love for science and storytelling. With degrees in literature and a passion for environmentalism, his works blend hard science with deep philosophical questions. Robinson's writing isn't just about space travel, it's about society, politics, and the human spirit. His Mars trilogy, starting with Red Mars in 1992, is considered one of the greatest works of science fiction ever written. But why? What makes it so compelling? Let's find out. Red Mars tells the story of the first 100 colonists sent to Mars in 2026. These aren't just astronauts, they're scientists, engineers, and visionaries, selected from all over the world to build the foundation of a new civilization. Their mission? To establish a permanent human presence and eventually terraform the planet. But as with any great endeavor, conflicts arise. The novel follows key figures among the colonists. John Boone, the first man to walk on Mars and an optimist about the future. Frank Chalmers, a politically savvy leader with his own agenda. Maya Toitovna, the head of the Russian delegation caught in a love triangle. Sax Russell, a scientist obsessed with terraforming Mars. Anne Claiborne, a geologist who believes Mars should be preserved in its natural state. The tension between these characters reflects a deeper struggle. Should Mars be changed to suit human needs, or should it remain untouched? This ideological battle sets the stage for a gripping, decade-spanning saga. What makes Red Mars so special is its commitment to realism. Robinson spent years researching the actual physics, chemistry, and politics of Mars colonization. This isn't a story of space wizards or alien invaders. It's about real-world challenges like radiation, low gravity, and international politics. Some of the book's major themes include terraforming versus preservation. Should we turn Mars into a second Earth, or is it morally wrong to change an alien world? Political struggles. As corporations and governments get involved, conflicts arise over who controls Mars and its resources. Human resilience. The colonists must adapt to extreme conditions, forging new technologies and new ways of thinking. These themes feel more relevant today than ever, as real-world space agencies and private companies plan missions to Mars. Red Mars remains a blueprint for what might actually happen. Since its release, Red Mars has influenced countless readers, scientists, and even NASA researchers. The book won the Nebula Award and launched an epic trilogy, followed by Green Mars and Blue Mars, which explore the full transformation of the planet. Many of the ideas Robinson wrote about, like space elevators, Martian greenhouses, and corporate control over space, have become hot topics in real-world discussions about colonizing Mars. Space agencies across the globe are laying the groundwork for human settlement, making Red Mars feel less like fiction and more like prophecy. Kim Stanley Robinson's Red Mars is more than a novel. It's a vision of humanity's destiny among the stars. It asks big questions about science, ethics, and the future of our species. Whether you're a sci-fi fan, a space enthusiast, or just someone who loves a great story, this book is a must-read. So, what do you think? Will humans one day terraform Mars, or should we leave it untouched? Let's talk in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more explorations into the world of sci-fi and beyond. See you next time.
Imagine standing on Mars, watching its once red desert slowly turn green, rivers forming, plants taking root, and an atmosphere thickening just enough to hold warmth. This is the world of the second book in Kim Stanley Robinson's, where the battle for the future of the Red Planet intensifies. But this isn't just a sci-fi story about space exploration. It's a deep, intricate saga of politics, environmental transformation, and the very nature of human society. Today we dive into how it takes us from survival to revolution, from barren landscapes to living ecosystems, and from fragile human settlements to the brink of a new civilization. Green Mars Terraforming, Politics and Revolution. When we last left off the first Martian revolution had collapsed and Earth's powerful transnational corporations, essentially mega-governments, had reasserted control. Now decades have passed. Some of the first 100, the original settlers, are in hiding while Earth continues exploiting Mars, treating it like a distant colony. But beneath the surface, change is brewing. Scientists and rebels work together, secretly planning for independence. Meanwhile, terraforming efforts are accelerating. Massive mirrors orbiting the planet reflect sunlight, underground nuclear explosions, release subsurface gases, and genetically engineered plants begin to take hold. Mars is no longer just a scientific outpost, it's a battleground of ideologies. There are three main perspectives shaping its future. 1. The Greens. Led by figures like Saxifrage Sax-Russell, these scientists and engineers believe in full-scale terraforming. They envision Mars as a second Earth, complete with oceans, breathable air, and self-sustaining ecosystems. 2. The Reds. Led by Anne Claiborne, this faction believes Mars should remain untouched. To them, the planet has an inherent value, a right to exist in its natural state, free from human interference. 3. The Political Revolutionaries. Figures like Nergal and Maya play key roles in pushing for Martian independence. They recognize that controlling Mars isn't just about science, it's about self-governance, power structures, and resisting corporate control. As terraforming accelerates, so does political unrest. The underground resistance, known as the Areophany, grows stronger, with members secretly organizing sabotage missions against Earth's corporate powers. Meanwhile, Nergal, a child born on Mars, represents a new generation, one that has never known Earth and sees Mars as their true home. But what sparks the revolution? A critical moment comes when transnational corporations attempt to militarize Mars further, enforcing harsher control over its resources. This leads to a turning point, the formation of a hidden Martian government and the planning of a second, more coordinated rebellion. Beyond politics is also a fascinating study of planetary engineering. Terraforming isn't just an idea, it's a series of real, plausible scientific processes. Robinson explores in stunning detail, giant mirrors in orbit to concentrate sunlight and warm the surface, bacteria and algae designed to create oxygen and enrich the soil, ice drilling and controlled melting to release water vapor into the atmosphere, and artificial greenhouse gases pumped into the air to trap heat. Each of these techniques mirrors real scientific proposals for future Mars colonization. By the end of, the revolution is no longer just a dream, it's happening. Armed uprisings spread across the planet, and the rebels gain crucial control points. Meanwhile, the ongoing terraforming means Mars is no longer the same planet it was at the start. The battle for independence is as much about controlling this new environment as it is about fighting for political freedom. The stage is set for the final book in the trilogy, where Mars reaches its next phase. Oceans forming, full independence looming, and a future that will redefine humanity's place in the solar system. Kim Stanley Robinson's isn't just a sci-fi novel, it's a blueprint for the future, a thought experiment about what it means to build a civilization from scratch. As we look toward real missions to Mars, it raises crucial questions. Should we terraform other worlds? Who gets to decide how a new planet is governed? And what happens when humans bring their own conflicts to an untouched land? If you found this deep dive fascinating, make sure to like and subscribe for more explorations of sci-fi, space science, and the future of humanity beyond Earth. And let me know in the comments, would you want to live on a terraformed Mars, or should we leave it untouched? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, where we explore the final chapter of this incredible trilogy.
Imagine a Mars no longer red or even green, but blue. Oceans stretching across the surface, a breathable atmosphere forming, and humanity standing at the threshold of a new era. Blue Mars, the final book in Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy, is the culmination of decades of struggle, scientific ambition, and the dream of building a new world from scratch. But now that Mars is no longer a barren wasteland, the biggest question remains: how do you govern an entirely new planet? And as Earth faces catastrophic climate collapse, will Mars be a sanctuary or just another battleground? Today, we explore Blue Mars, the final frontier in Robinson's epic trilogy, where politics, science, and philosophy collide to determine the fate of humanity's first true off-world civilization. Blue Mars picks up where Green Mars left off. The second Martian revolution has succeeded, Earth's corporate overlords have been overthrown, and Mars has declared its independence. But with freedom comes a new challenge. How do you build a government for an entire planet? Terraforming efforts have accelerated beyond expectations. Ice from the poles has melted, creating vast lakes and seas, rain falls from the sky, and vegetation spreads across the land. But while Mars becomes more Earth-like, Earth itself is crumbling. Climate disasters, rising sea levels, and overpopulation have pushed millions of people to seek refuge on Mars. This mass migration creates tension between the original Martians, those born on Mars or who fought for independence, and the new wave of desperate Earth refugees. Who has the right to shape the future of Mars? With independence secured, the leaders of Mars face a monumental task: designing a government from scratch. There are many competing ideologies. The democratic idealists, led by figures like Maya and Nergal, they envision a decentralized cooperative government that ensures freedom and sustainability. The scientists and terraformers, led by Sachs Russell, they prioritize continued terraforming and scientific progress above politics. The Martian nationalists, some believe Mars should remain strictly for those who fought for its independence, restricting Earth immigrants. These debates mirror real-world struggles. Do you prioritize economic growth or environmental sustainability? Should government be centralized or decentralized? And how do you balance personal freedom with the needs of an entire planet? While Mars struggles to define its own future, Earth's problems grow worse. Entire coastlines are lost to rising sea levels, economies collapse, and political unrest leads to chaos. Millions of people want to flee Earth, but Mars isn't big enough for everyone. This crisis forces humanity to look even further, toward the moons of Jupiter, the asteroid belt, and beyond. Mars, once the colony, now becomes the launching pad for interstellar expansion. As Mars transforms physically, its people undergo their own transformation. A new generation is born, humans who have never known Earth, whose bodies have adapted to the lower gravity, whose cultures are uniquely Martian. They don't see themselves as Earthlings anymore. This sparks deep questions. What does it mean to be Martian? Is Mars just an extension of Earth, or is it something entirely new? And if humans continue spreading through the solar system, will they remain one species or diverge into something else? By the end of Blue Mars, humanity stands at a crossroads. Mars is fully habitable, but it's no longer the final destination, it's just the beginning. Terraforming has reached its peak, new space colonies are forming, and the future of human civilization is no longer tied to one planet. The book leaves us with a profound message. Humanity's story doesn't end with Mars, it expands outward, forever exploring, forever evolving. Kim Stanley Robinson's Blue Mars isn't just a sci-fi novel. It's a vision of what humanity's future could be. As we take our first real steps toward Mars in the 21st century, the questions raised in this book become more relevant than ever. Will Mars become a second Earth? Will humans truly change as they adapt to new worlds? And if we do, what will that mean for our species? If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe for more explorations into science fiction, space, and the future of humanity. And let us know in the comments, what kind of civilization would you want to see on Mars? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. What if you could live for 2,000 years? Would you embrace Robert A. Heinlein, one of the most influential science fiction writers of the 20th century, asked this very question in his 1973 novel, Time Enough for Love. This book isn't just about longevity, it's about adventure, philosophy, love, and the ever-evolving human experience. It or beg for the sweet release of death. At the heart of this novel is Lazarus Long, a man who has lived for over 2,000 years. Born in the early 20th century, he is the oldest living member of the Howard families, a genetic experiment designed to extend human lifespan. But after centuries of adventure, conquest, and loss, Lazarus is simply tired of living. As the novel begins, Lazarus has decided that he's had enough. He's ready to die, but his descendants, determined to keep their greatest ancestor alive, offer him an intriguing deal. They will grant him anything he wants, anything at all, if he agrees to keep living. The book unfolds as a series of stories from Lazarus Long's extensive past, interwoven with philosophical reflections and futuristic speculation. We witness his youth, his exploits as a space pioneer, his time as a military commander, and his encounters with different civilizations. In one of his earliest adventures, Lazarus becomes a space trader, navigating the dangers of interstellar commerce. He builds colonies, fights in wars, and even rules as a patriarch on distant planets. He thrives on his ability to adapt and survive, but every new experience also brings pain and loss. One of the most moving parts of the book is Lazarus' time on a pioneer planet, where he finds love, builds a family, and experiences true happiness, only to watch it all slip away due to the ravages of time and human mortality. It is these painful experiences that shape his cynicism and reluctance to continue living. The novel also explores his interactions with sentient AI, genetic engineering, and radical societal structures. Heinlein uses these stories to question the limits of human endurance and the moral dilemmas of immortality. But make no mistake, this novel is not just a light-hearted sci-fi romp. Heinlein pushes the boundaries of conventional storytelling, exploring provocative and sometimes uncomfortable ethical dilemmas. One of the most controversial aspects of the book is Lazarus Long's time-traveling experience, where he goes back and interacts with his own mother, in a storyline that raises deep questions about love, destiny, and human taboos. Some critics have praised Heinlein for his boldness in challenging social norms, while others have found certain elements of the book uncomfortable. Regardless, Time Enough for Love is undeniably thought-provoking. By the time Time Enough for Love was published in 1973, Heinlein was already a legendary figure in science fiction. His works had shaped generations of readers and inspired countless writers, thinkers, and even scientists. This novel, often considered part of Heinlein's Future History series, is a culmination of his lifelong fascination with human potential and individual liberty. It's an epic that blends space exploration, time travel, and deep philosophical reflection into one ambitious narrative. So what does it mean to live forever? Would you tire of existence, or would you keep searching for new frontiers? Time Enough for Love is more than just a sci-fi novel. It's a meditation on what it means to be human. What are your thoughts on Time Enough for Love? Is it a visionary masterpiece, or is it too controversial for modern readers? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more sci-fi explorations. Until next time, keep exploring the unknown.
Imagine a world unlike any other. A colossal artificial ring encircling a distant star, stretching over 1 million miles in circumference. A world so vast that its edges curve into the horizon, mimicking the illusion of an endless planet. This is Ringworld, the groundbreaking sci-fi novel by Larry Niven, first published in 1970. Today we dive into the fascinating universe of Ringworld, exploring its story, its groundbreaking ideas, and the brilliant mind behind it, Larry Niven. Before we get into the wonders of Ringworld, let's talk about its creator, Larry Niven. Born in 1938, Niven became one of the most influential sci-fi writers of the 20th century. His work is known for blending hard science with imaginative storytelling, often exploring the limits of physics, space travel, and alien civilizations. He is best known for his Known Space series, a vast interconnected universe of stories that includes Ringworld. Niven's ability to fuse real scientific principles with thrilling adventure earned him multiple Hugo and Nebula awards, making him a legend in the genre. But his most famous work, Ringworld, took world building to an entirely new level. The story follows Louis Wu, a 200-year-old man who, despite his age, still craves adventure. On his birthday, he is approached by Nessus, a representative of the mysterious and highly intelligent alien species called the Puppeteers. Nessus offers Louis a place on an expedition to a newly discovered megastructure, an artificial ring encircling a distant sun. Louis agrees and is joined by 2 other companions, Speaker to Animals, a fierce and honorable Kazan warrior, and Tila Brown, a young woman who seems to have a strange relationship with luck itself. When their ship crash lands on the Ringworld, the team is forced to explore this colossal artificial world. They discover vast landscapes, abandoned cities, and strange civilizations. But the biggest mystery remains: who built Ringworld, and why does it seem abandoned? Ringworld isn't just a sci-fi adventure, it's a deep exploration of advanced technology, evolution, and the consequences of playing God. The concept of a habitable ring structure inspired real-world scientific discussions, influencing ideas like Dyson spheres and megastructure engineering in astrophysics. Niven's meticulous use of physics in Ringworld, from rotational gravity to atmospheric retention, set a new standard for hard science fiction. And while the book sparked debates and even corrections in later editions, its legacy in sci-fi is undeniable. Due to its massive success, Niven expanded Ringworld into a series, with sequels like The Ringworld Engineers and Ringworld's Children, further exploring its mysteries. The Known Space universe continues to captivate readers, proving that Niven's vision remains as compelling today as it was over 50 years ago. So, what do you think of Ringworld? Have you read it, or are you planning to? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into classic sci-fi. Until next time, keep exploring the unknown.
What if intelligence could be enhanced? What if science could take a man with low IQ and turn him into a genius? But then, what if that genius came at a heartbreaking cost? Today we're diving into Flowers for Algernon, a classic sci-fi novel by Daniel Keyes, first published in 1966. This book has captivated readers for decades with its emotional depth and thought-provoking themes. Let's explore its story, themes, and the man behind it all. Before we break down the novel, let's set the stage with a little background. Flowers for Algernon originated as a short story in 1959 before Daniel Keyes expanded it into a full-length novel. It quickly became a beloved work of science fiction, winning the Nebula Award and being adapted into movies and plays. But at its core, this book is more than just sci-fi. It's a deeply human story about intelligence, identity, and the value of human connection. Our protagonist is Charlie Gordon, a kind-hearted man with an IQ of 68. He works as a janitor at a bakery and desperately wants to be smart like the people around him. Charlie is selected for an experimental surgery designed to increase his intelligence, an operation that has already shown success in a lab mouse named Algernon. At first, The surgery seems to be a miraculous success. Charlie's intelligence skyrockets, and he quickly surpasses even the scientists who created the experiment. He gains knowledge, learns multiple languages, and becomes aware of the complexities of human emotions. However, this transformation is not without its dark side. As Charlie's intellect grows, he realizes the cruelty he had previously been oblivious to, particularly from the very people he once considered friends. The world, once simple and full of hope, becomes isolating. But Charlie is not alone. Algernon, the lab mouse who underwent the same procedure, becomes his companion and symbol of his fate. As time passes, Algernon begins to deteriorate, losing his intelligence, becoming erratic, and eventually dying. Charlie understands that his own decline is inevitable. Despite his efforts, he cannot stop the reversal of his intelligence. In a tragic yet poignant conclusion, Charlie regresses back to his original state, writing his final thoughts in a simple, heart-wrenching entry. Please, if you get a chance, put some flowers on Algernon's grave in the backyard. Flowers for Algernon is more than just a story about intelligence. It's a deeply philosophical novel about what it means to be human. Some of its key themes include the ethics of scientific experimentation. Should we alter human intelligence? What are the moral responsibilities of scientists? The illusion of happiness. Is ignorance truly bliss, or does intelligence bring more suffering? The value of human connection. Throughout his journey, Charlie struggles with isolation, both in his initial state and as a genius. The novel asks us, what really defines our worth, intelligence or the ability to love and be loved? Now let's talk about the brilliant mind behind the novel, Daniel Keyes. Born in 1927, Keyes was a writer, editor, and teacher with a passion for psychology and human potential. The inspiration for Flowers for Algernon came from his experiences as a teacher, where he saw the struggles of students with learning disabilities. Keyes was fascinated by the idea of intelligence and its impact on self-awareness and relationships. His novel continues to be taught in schools and remains one of the most moving explorations of human nature in modern literature. Few books manage to touch the heart and challenge the mind quite like Flowers for Algernon. It's a story of hope, tragedy, and the human experience, one that continues to resonate across generations. Have you read this novel? What are your thoughts on Charlie's journey? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into literature.
Imagine soaring through the dense, swirling clouds of Jupiter, not as an astronaut, but as something more, something beyond human. This is the story of a man who became a machine, and then something entirely new, Arthur C. Clarke. A name that echoes through the halls of science fiction. The visionary behind 2001: A Space Odyssey, the mind that imagined satellites before they existed, and the writer who took us beyond the stars. In 1972, Clarke penned a story that remains one of the most thought-provoking works in the genre, A Meeting with Medusa, a tale of space exploration, artificial intelligence, and the limits of human identity. Our journey begins with a man named Howard Falcon, a seasoned aeronaut piloting one of Earth's last great airships. But fate had other plans. In a catastrophic accident, Falcon's body is shattered beyond repair. He is rebuilt not as a man, but as something more. Falcon is no longer just a man. He is something else, and soon he will be the first of his kind to venture into Jupiter's depths. Jupiter, king of planets, a swirling, violent world of storms larger than Earth itself. Few would dare to descend into its crushing atmosphere. But Falcon, he was built for this. His mission, to pilot Kon-Tiki, a colossal airship into the unknown, to explore where no human or machine has ever gone before. As Kon-Tiki drifts deeper, the pressure builds, the ship creaks, the winds howl, and the visibility drops to nearly nothing. It is an alien world in every sense, an environment more hostile than any place known to humankind. Yet Falcon presses on, scanning, analyzing, searching, and then he sees it. Deep within Jupiter's atmosphere, among the ammonia clouds and turbulent winds, Falcon encounters something extraordinary. A life form, a creature of pure alien beauty, a floating, translucent entity, pulsating with light. Clarke calls it Medusa. But Medusa is not alone. Surrounding it are other, smaller creatures, some resembling floating sacks of bioluminescent gas, others moving like schools of glowing plankton in an ocean of clouds. It is an ecosystem, alive, thriving, hidden within the depths of Jupiter for eons. This is no mindless beast. It moves with intelligence. It reacts. It observes. Could this be life beyond Earth? Not carbon-based, not like anything we've ever seen, but undeniably alive. And then, something even more remarkable happens. Medusa acknowledges Falcon's presence. It shifts. It changes. Is it communicating? Is this a meeting of two sentient beings? Or is Falcon simply witnessing something beyond his comprehension? But as Falcon gazes at this magnificent being, another question arises. What is he now? Not entirely human, not fully machine. Just like the Medusa, he is something different, something in between. Arthur C. Clarke challenges us to think beyond our definitions of life, consciousness, and identity. Are we merely flesh and blood, or is there something more? And if we alter ourselves, enhance ourselves, at what point do we stop being human? Is Falcon now the perfect explorer, detached from pain, fear, and human frailty? Or has he lost something essential, something irreplaceable? A Meeting with Medusa is more than just a science fiction story. It is a meditation on the future of humanity. It foreshadowed the rise of cybernetics, artificial intelligence, and even the search for extraterrestrial life in extreme environments. It won the Hugo Award for Best Novella in 1973 and remains one of Clarke's most underrated masterpieces. Its themes have inspired countless sci-fi films, novels, and even real-world scientific discussions about transhumanism and space exploration. And as we move toward a future of AI, cybernetics, and deep space travel, Clarke's vision feels more relevant than ever. So what do you think? If we merge with machines, do we become something greater or something less? And if we do one day meet extraterrestrial life, will we even recognize it? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep looking to the stars and wondering what's waiting beyond.
Imagine a world where cyberspace isn't just a metaphor, but an immersive virtual reality. One so vivid and dangerous that it can shatter your mind as easily as glass. Published in 1984, Neuromancer introduces us to Case, a washed-up computer hacker in a dystopian future Japan known as Chiba City. Once the best console cowboy in the business, Case loses his nerve and his ability to access cyberspace after betraying his employers. He's given a second chance when a mysterious operative offers to restore his damaged nerves if he agrees to help execute the ultimate hack infiltrating the powerful artificial intelligence known as Wintermute. As the plot unfolds, Case teams up with Molly Millions, a razor-sharp mercenary, navigating a shadowy world of corporate espionage, street gangs, and digital realities so immersive, they blur the lines between reality and illusion. Their mission? To pull off an unprecedented heist against Wintermute, an immensely powerful AI with its own dark agenda. As the plot unfolds, Case and Molly find themselves grappling with existential questions about identity, consciousness, and humanity's uneasy relationship with technology, plunging the reader into a vivid and thought-provoking future. Neuromancer didn't just tell a compelling story, it fundamentally reshaped science fiction. Released in 1984, this novel popularized the term cyberspace and laid the groundwork for the cyberpunk genre, influencing countless books, films, and video games such as The Matrix and Ghost in the Shell. The novel explores themes of artificial intelligence, virtual reality, corporate dominance, and the fragility of human identity within a technology-driven world. Gibson's vision of a dystopian society dominated by megacorporations, rebellious hackers, and vivid digital landscapes was not only visionary, it was eerily prophetic, foreseeing issues we grapple with today. Neuromancer remains celebrated for its gritty, atmospheric depiction of the future, and Gibson's foresight in portraying the internet long before it became a household reality. William Gibson, born in 1948, is an American-Canadian author recognized as the pioneer of the cyberpunk genre. With the publication of Neuromancer in 1984, Gibson quickly rose to prominence, becoming the first author ever to win the Hugo, Nebula, and Philip K. Dick Awards for a single novel. Gibson's writing is noted for its dense, atmospheric prose and intricate plots. His other notable works include Count Zero, Mona Lisa Overdrive, and later novels like Pattern Recognition. Gibson's storytelling immerses readers in vividly textured worlds, examining humanity's complex interactions with technology and culture. Nearly 4 decades after its release, Neuromancer continues to resonate deeply. It's more than just a story, it's a prophetic vision, a philosophical exploration, and an unforgettable journey into a future that feels closer with each passing day. Whether you're a sci-fi fan, tech visionary, or simply fascinated by the possibilities of tomorrow, Neuromancer offers an adventure worth exploring. As William Gibson famously put it, "The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed." Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating journeys into the worlds of imagination. See you next time.